Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about tabletop role-playing game Rescue. So, the reason why I'm going to talk about this today is Starfinder. So, I recently purchased Starfinder. I purchased it right off of Paizo Publishing's website for $9.99. And it is 530 pages long, gorgeous art, awesome races, really cool classes, a problematic world, and in my opinion, an unplayable rule system. Unplayable to me specifically. And the reason why is this came out in 2017, right? What I'm looking for in every every modern tabletop role-playing game is for me to tell stories faster, right? And actually, I think Starfinder actually plays slower, having read the rules, would play slower than Pathfinder, which is, it's so crunchy. It's as crunchy. Its base structure, in my opinion, is more crunchy. Is actually more crunchy than Pathfinder, which I'm like, that's crazy. That is just crazy. So, I was like, when I got done reading Starfinder, I was like, what do you do with this thing, right? There is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put in this thing. The races are awesome. The classes are awesome. The world is problematic, but, it could be salvageable, right? And there's enough here to be excited about, but the rules are just, in my opinion, unplayable, right? In that it would take so long to tell any decent story that why would you even bother, right? So, and the reality is I wouldn't. As it's written, rules is written, I would not even attempt to run Starfinder, okay? That is a classic example of a game that is in need of TRPG rescue, okay? So tabletop role-playing game rescue. So what is modern tabletop role-playing game rescue? Modern tabletop role-playing game rescue is quite robust, and the way you do it is Fate, okay, and Cypher, okay. So there are well over 300 real tabletop role-playing games. All right. Now I'm actually I'm continuing to absolutely refine down to a sharp point. Real tabletop role-playing game. Real tabletop role-playing game. So here's my definition of a real tabletop role-playing game. At some point in the game's history, it was available at 5% or more of all US FLGSs. It was on the shelf. So a real tabletop role-playing game is any game that could be found on 5% or more of all US FLGS right there on the shelf. Okay? That's a real tabletop role-playing game. By the way, if you don't draw that line, there are as well over 1,000 tabletop role-playing games. Like, there's a ridiculous amount, right? And like a perfect example of this, if you're curious what I'm talking about, why I keep trying to refine what's a real tabletop role-playing game, Lasers and Feelings is a perfect example. Is that a real tabletop role-playing game? I'm not sure. It's 2 pages long. It's better than a lot of published tabletop role-playing games, but I'm not sure if it's really a real tabletop role-playing game, right? But so there's well over 300 real tabletop role-playing games, okay? That's a unique system, unique world, right? Core rulebook. And I would say 100 of them have a good rule set, and like 200 of them have a bad rule set, but may have an absolutely amazing world, amazing races, amazing classes, right? So modern tabletop role-playing game Rescue is you as a game master being able to scale up and down what you do with the games that are out there, okay? So the least costly and the fastest way, the way to conduct a TRPG rescue with the least amount of money spent and the least time invested is Fate Accelerated. Fate Accelerated is free, okay? And it can be read, it's 50 pages long, which means it can be read in 2 hours. So literally in like a 4-hour period, you can have an entire crew you could have 5 players and a game master playing Starfinder through Fate Accelerated, right? And that's awesome. And I that really gives me a lot of hope, because honestly, I would not even remotely try to run Starfinder as it's written. But it's a beautiful game from its race perspective, from its class perspective, and it has some really, really amazing elements within the world section. It also has a couple of serious problems in there. But and it's worth seeing it at the table. But with its actual rule set, I would not even approach running it, right? But I want to be in that world, and I want to play in that world, right? So Fate Accelerated is a way that I can do that very, very quickly for free. And that's pretty awesome. That is amazingly awesome. And that is 100% doable because of Fred Hicks, one of the top tabletop role-playing game designers in the world today. He runs Evil Hat Games, and he has the whole Fate world. Now, let's say you want to go a little more crunchy, you can go with Fate Core, right? And Fate Core is just Fate Accelerated blown out to like a full 300-page book, right? But if you really want crunch, you can really do it upright and use any tabletop role-playing game, including Pathfinder, right, with a stellar rule system that resembles an 80s or 90s tabletop role-playing game. Really solid crunch, the ability to do some really tactical combat, really exciting gameplay. You could do all of that with Cypher, Monty Cook's Cypher. And the Cypher system is fantastic. It's like somebody perfected GURPS, right? And gave it awesome art and made people want to play it, right? It's really, really amazing. And so Cypher is something really special, and I highly, highly recommend these two forms of tabletop role-playing game rescue, okay? Now, there are a lot of games that I think fall in this area. So, what are some good games that should be rescued, right? Really not played with their real rule system, but played with a better rule system. But their worlds are so awesome that, they deserve a place at the table, right? Just with a new rule set. Well, some really good ones are the entire World of Darkness line, right? So I would just run, there's great ideas in that game. It's really cool and interesting, but I would run the entire World of Darkness line through Fate or Cypher. Shadowrun is another great game with just not a stellar rule system. Fading Sun is a great one out there that would really go well. And also, I've seen people running... so one of the things that's really cool about Cypher and... I'll stay on target here. There's a few more. Also, there's some really cool opportunities. Here's another one, right? So 7th Sea 2nd edition just came out, right? Well, that means that you can get 1st edition 7th Sea pretty cheap, right? So you could get, grab up all those source books and then run that with Fate or with Cypher, right? And so Fate and Cypher are just absolutely essential tools that should be in any modern game master's toolkit, right? There's a lot of other really, really unique games out there. Dragon Mech is another great one. The entire mech genre is really solid for this, right? So BattleTech is a great game to run with Cypher or Fate. Gear Krieg, an old World War I mech game, is out there. Jaroon, right? There's just a long list of Inomini. There's just a long list of these really, really cool, brilliant, beautiful worlds that were built for tabletop role-playing games that just have the most, just rough rules, right? Like sandpaper rough, right? And these games are all perfectly positioned for tabletop role-playing game rescue, okay? So give it some thought. Head on over to Noble Knight Games. They're not a sponsor, but they're very solid company, and you can get a lot of great games there. And a lot of times you can get these great games for really for a steal, because there's so many games out there now. And so so really give this some thought. And I honestly think, so I just want to be clear, right? I would not play Starfinder as it's written, right? But I want to be super clear. Paizo did a lot with Starfinder. There's a lot of awesome ideas in there. And the other thing that they did is they are selling an absolutely staggeringly high quality game in the PDF version for $9.99. That is, and that's a big deal because a lot of games out there are really overcharging, in my opinion, trying to get $20 for a PDF. And I just, I just don't think that's a fair price for a PDF. I really don't. And in my opinion, $9.99 is a very, very fair price for a PDF. And I think it's almost a gift that Paizo has done that. I could be wrong about that $20 thing. I don't run a tabletop role-playing game company, and there are ones, and I know there's a lot of challenges, so maybe there are real reasons. But as it stands, Starfinder is a $9.99 stellar PDF, right? That is begging to be TRPG rescued. And honestly, I would run it with Fate Accelerated. I think that would be a really cool, fun campaign, and you could tell a lot of cool stories quite quickly using Fate Accelerated. You can, and also I just want to say, Fate Accelerated is really special because it's free. You can just you can legally hand that book over to somebody, or just point them to the pay what you want link on Evil Hat, and you're good to go. You don't have to feel guilty, and the game was built for that, which is really, really cool. So really think about what games are out there that you could do a TRPG rescue on, and then also really I would really highly recommend Starfinder Fate Accelerated. Take care.